Hey adventurers! Today we're going to be doing a book haul for you. This is spanning since December, I think.
Yeah, since our Christmas one.
Yeah.
And
we recently both got a lot of books because locally our library was selling a bunch and our local bookstore was doing a large sale as well.
yes. And it also happens to coincide with March 16th, which is our BookTube birthday. So it's kind of a
Weird.
birthday book haul.
Yeah.
Especially since both our birthdays are also in March. That's kind
also.
of what we're doing with this one. So we've got a lot of books. Go ahead.
You have more than me, you should start.
All right. Well,
yours are going to go in sections, though.
Some of them have sections. So the first one I'll start with is The Nicholas Raven and the Wizard's Web, volumes 1, 2, and 3 by Thomas J. Prestopnik. This is a self-published series that the author reached out to me asking if I would like to read them, and so I was like, yeah, they sound interesting, they sound right up my alley. So he sent them to me, and I'm very excited to read them. Haven't gotten to them yet, but I don't know when I will because they're massive, but I do really want to read those.
So the first book I have here is The Mysterious Benedict Society by Trenton Lee Stewart. I don't really know much about this. I've heard the title because I think it's popular enough that the title's out there, but other than that and the synopsis on the back, I don't know about it, but it sounds really interesting. So, and I love the cover. It's pretty.
Next one that I found is Tad Williams' Shadow Rise, which is volume 3 of Shadow March. This was one of the ones that the library was giving away, and I recognized Tad Williams as an author from around BookTube that a lot of people have read and liked. So I figured, well, I might as well pick it up. It's a nice hardcover edition. If nothing else, then I have it and I can give it to someone else or something. I don't know what I'll do with it. I haven't read any Tad Williams, and I don't own any other, especially the first 2 books in this series. So
You got
we'll
book
see.
3?
Yeah, but it was the only one there.
Okay. I also got The Looking Glass Wars by Frank Bedore. This one, Patricia Meredith actually was talking about in Happy Little Mapsidents that Andrew, her husband, hosts, and I had been reading The Wonderland Trials by Sarah Ella, and I like Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass, and it sounds really interesting, and I saw it, so I'm excited.
The next one that I got also from the library is The Last Days of New Paris by China Mieville. All I know is this is a sci-fi author that I've heard some things about on BookTube recently, and sounds kind of very intellectual, so maybe I'll read it and try it. And I don't know, I recognize the author name, so I was like, oh, might as well grab that one too.
I also got Legend by Marie Lu. This is the same author that wrote The Kingdom of Back, which I really enjoyed. I haven't read anything else by her, but I want to, of course. And this sounds interesting. It's very, it's always in the YA section. So I kind of know what I'm getting into with that, and I oftentimes like YA.
So we'll get this next group out of the way real quick. This was at the library, or not the library, at the bookstore. I was doing their big 50% off sale. And so I found the entire Narnia, Chronicles of Narnia series in a nice editions that I wanted a complete set of nice editions of the single books rather than a bind up. And so I've got all of them now. I don't know where the light will be shining, so hopefully you can see the covers a little bit. And almost done, there's just 2 left. But I like the covers, I like the art style on them, so yeah.
I also got Death and Daisies by Amanda Flower. This was just in the mystery section at the bookstore, and I like to find one mystery. I don't read a lot of specific mystery books. I like mystery subplots in my stories, but I try to pick out one book when I go to this store because they have so many options, and a lot of them are older, and I tend to like older or mysteries that were written in times past as opposed to current more. So
the next one that I've got is Merlin's Mirror by Andre Norton. I know absolutely nothing about this other than that it seems to be like a sci-fi retelling of the King Arthur legend or something like that, and it King Arthur, so I was like, well, might as well pick it up, and it was, again, cheap.
Okay, I also got The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I recently read this one and I loved it, and I immediately put it on my book wish list because when I love a book so much, I really want to own it, especially if it's one where I might want to reference things in it again or read passages. And Midnight Library was an exceptional read, and so I was really excited to find this at the bookstore.
The next one I got is another Arthurian. This is Pendragon, which is book 4 in the Pendragon cycle by Stephen R. Lawhead. You'll, if you remember, I think it was our last book haul, I mentioned that I got Taliesin, which is the first book in this series, and I wanted to get the whole series so I can read the whole series. So now I'm missing books 2 and 3, and this is a different edition than the other one. So we'll see. If I end up really absolutely loving them, I'll look for nice fancy editions of them at some point.
Okay, next I have A Treasury of Best Loved Poems, illustrated by Lamour, Fortescue Brookdale, and it's just a nice, pleasant anthology of poems, and it has really pleasant pictures in it. I'm gonna leave that in, I hope you do. I really like poetry, and I like finding new authors for poetry, so I'm excited to look through this some more. Hopefully no more surprises.
Yes, there might be. I might as well do these 3 as one because I like this edition style, whatever, of the Louis Lamour westerns, where it's a single color with a small picture in the middle. For some reason, I really like them. They look nice, they feel nice, even though they're mass market paperback. So anyways, I got Riley's Luck, Kilroan, and The Man from the Broken Hills by Louis Lamour. 3 more westerns just to add to my Louis Lamour collection because I like Louis Lamour.
I also got an X-Men comic. This is just like one of those, I don't know, I guess they used to be like nickel comics, and is that right? Anyhow,
Probably.
It's one story within a comic.
295.
Yeah, this was published in 1980s, so that kind of makes sense, I guess.
Maybe.
I don't know. I read a lot of X-Men growing up, and I like the older stuff, so I'm excited to have this on hand to read through again. Wait a second. This isn't a story. This is just covers.
That's disappointing, but it's got a...
So this is just covers, I guess, with different editions.
I've read most of these stories and I like most of them.
Yeah, I have too. Well, not what I thought it was, but I guess that's my fault for not paying closer attention in the bookstore.
Yeah. Next I've got The Deerslayer by James Fenimore Cooper. This is the same author who wrote The Last of the Mohicans, which I haven't read yet. I do plan on reading it soonish, maybe this year, hopefully. So, but anyways, I saw The Deerslayer and it's nice, nice condition, so I figured I might as well get it.
So I also got 6 Crimson Cranes and the Dragon's Promise by Elizabeth Lim. I've read 6 Crimson Cranes and I really liked it, so I'm happy to have this lovely copy. And I haven't read the Dragon's Promise yet, so now I have the option to read it in physical copy if I can, which is really cool. And they have really stunning covers, so.
Wow, did we time this just right? Looks like we did, just about. Anyways, the next one I've got is Ink Spell by Cornelia Funke. Or possibly Funke. Funky? I don't know. Anyways, I think this is book 2 of whatever her ink something or other series is. I have book 1 that I got well over a year ago now, and I have not read it, but book 2 is there and it was cheap. And I had book 1, so I got book 2. That's really all I have to say about that because I know nothing about those books.
Okay, so I also have Night Train to Rigel by Timothy Zahn, and I've read one Timothy Zahn, I think, one of his Star Wars books.
Probably. He's written several.
Shadow the Outcast he wrote, didn't he? Anyhow,
No,
I've
that
read...
was me.
No, okay. I read one of his Star Wars books, I remember, because when I picked this up, I was looking at it, and I said, aha, I've read that one. So I got this one. It's just a sci-fi, and I like science fiction sometimes, so.
Here. The next one that I've got And one that I'm actually really excited for is Castaways of the Flying Dutchman by Brian Jakes. Brian Jakes is the author of the Redwall series, which I absolutely love. I have never read the Castaways of the Flying Dutchman. I think there's 2 books, one book and a sequel that's kind of a sequel, a tale from the Castaways of the Flying Dutchman, something like that. Anyways, I'm excited to read this because I really like Brian Jakes' writing, and I'm hoping that this is a fun seafaring, swashbuckling, something action adventure type story. And I don't know if that's what it'll be, but I'm excited for it.
Survivor's Quest, I think I've read. Okay. I also got The List by Martin Fletcher. I don't really know anything about this except it's World War II historical fiction, which is an area of historical fiction I particularly like, and it was another one of the books that the library was giving away, so I thought I'd give it a try. And
the last book that I got is Alaska, a novel by James A. Michener. This is one that, well, it's Alaska, and I'm an Alaskan, so I wanted to read it, but I've also recently watched Brian Lee Durfee's review of Alaska, and what he was saying about it made me interested in reading it, and so I found it for cheap, super cheap, and it's a nice hardback edition. I may not like it. If I don't, that's fine, but I at least want to read it and find out for myself. So yeah, that's all that I have to say about that one.
So the last book I got is The Endurance, and this is like, oh, how do you describe what it is? Not a textbook, but it's like a coffee table book. It's got pictures. It has information about Shackleton's legendary Antarctic expedition. So it's by Carolyn Alexander, and it has the photos that were taken on the expedition. It's such a fun story to look at, or book to look through, and I'm excited to be able to read more of it. And if I ever have a coffee table in my house, I would be happy to put this on it. That's all we got for you guys, which
at least in terms of the books. I will make this announcement. Hopefully it'll already be up to where it can be seen. But we are planning on next Sunday or this coming Sunday, I guess, because you're watching this on Thursday, doing a live stream for our 3rd anniversary. YouTube, BookTube Birthday anniversary thingy, whatever that's called, and we'll be, I don't know how long it'll take, but we're planning on giving you our favorite 3 books from each of the past 3 years that we've been on BookTube. So that's the plan for that, and we hope to see you then. Thank you guys for watching an Erudite Adventure. We post videos every Monday and Thursday, and our social media is linked in the description down below. We'll see you guys again soon. Stay warm.